The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to another summer update. We're back after our long distance charity walk. Michael Normanton.
How are your feet, Dan?
Chris McMenamin. My feet are great. My feet are absolutely fantastic. But then again, I was support crew. In many ways, I was just holding the whole thing together.
Yeah, sort of.
How are yours? Because you two walked the full distance, 121 miles. GarySpeedWalk.com, by the way, if you want to chuck a couple of quid into the pot. Past the £50,000 target, which is amazing. Thank you if you donated. We really appreciate it. Great cause and all that. How are your feet?
No complaints, really. Not compared to many.
Tell the listener or viewer about what happened to you.
Well, I've got some antibiotics, but that's fine.
What have you got your antibiotics for? Not the stuff around the waist.
A bit of cellulitis on my lower leg.
Yeah.
Which is just a little infection.
Infection of the skin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There is a little cut in the middle of my shin where it was, so I'm guessing I got like a little...
This is when I snuck in during the night and tried to inject you with a disease.
A little bit of something, my enemies trying to bring me down.
Right.
It was the Russians, probably,
wow.
but I just fought it off.
Right.
In the end.
That's
just antibiotics is all it took.
That's a big claim.
So, but yeah, other than that, you look at other people and you go, yeah, I'm all right.
Because we ended up with stress fractures and infected toes, degloved toes, which casts quite the image in the mind.
It sounded... Jesus. Luke Glossop, who I walk with, his infected blisters were described as the worst thing that Katie Walken had ever seen on 3 years of walking. And Steve, who was rooming with him, said that it looked a little bit like the horse's head scene in The Godfather.
Right.
When he woke up. So
yeah, it was...
People went through a lot.
It was quite a lot. I healed the sick, which is obviously part of my usual remit.
Of course.
I was dressing blisters. And
I heard you were laying your hands on people, but all I heard was people saying to get off.
Right, yeah. Well, the judge did tell me about that, didn't he?
Etc. I tell you, did do the walk. Nav.
Yes.
Do you know where Nav works?
Levi Solicitors.
Hey.
That was amazing. I didn't even see the join there.
Yeah, there you go.
Tell us about Levi's then, Michael.
Well, Nav does conveyancing. He told us that. If you want to go back and listen to him on the podcast.
Did you give him some tips on the walk while you were there?
Well, it's business, isn't it? That I didn't want to.
It makes business and pleasure.
I didn't want to bother him, did I? Right. Giving him a clinic on how to do his job. Yeah. I think he knows, to be honest.
You're quite good, but here's how you can improve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, if you want your conveyancing done by Nav or someone else.
Nav or someone else on the team.
Someone else. You can't necessarily expect it to be.
Can you
Nav.
request Nav?
Probably.
let's see, why not?
Yeah, I think you should.
You might. Let's not make him too busy. Everyone else sat around with nothing to do.
So do you know the names of all the people who do the wills and the probate? That's probably the same people, I guess.
John.
Right.
And
Marie?
Yeah. Yeah. That'll do, won't it? No, I don't know all the names. But.
And they do a range of legal services that you can find at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. 10% discount on your legal fees. And there's a link in the episode description box as well. Thank you to Levi Solicitors for their support as one of the sponsors of the walk. We've got loads. We'll mention them as we go as well, including like Nate from the Brew and L, helps out the Tuk Tuk Club. Who else? We've got loads.
Coastal Brewery.
Yep.
Print Ink, who did all the shirts and the banner for us and do all of our merch bits and bobs. So yeah, thank you to everyone for bringing it all together. There's a lot of logistical stuff that needs to come together for these things, for snacks and van hire and lunches. And
I had to drive to Costco in Gateshead to get you lunch.
What a hero.
On my own as well. So you were all together, chatting to each other, having fun. Yeah, and I went and sat in Costco.
See, I love a solo trip to Costco, so you're getting no sympathy here.
No, I had a great time.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I stopped for a coffee afterwards on my own.
Looking at the canoes.
Yeah. I really did enjoy the first day because it was quite short and there was lots of little stops along the way. I think we stopped at 3 or 4 pubs. And then the pub stops started to lessen and lessen and lessen.
Yeah, good vibes on day one, wasn't it? Just Newcastle to...
I don't know. I was just busy sat in McDonald's at the end.
Ah, fair enough.
At the service station, I should say.
But yeah, the first day was quite pleasant, I will say.
Because the first day was 20 miles. It was unsupported. St James's Park into not Scotch Con, it was Durham, wasn't
Durham
it?
services,
basically. Yeah, so 20 miles first day. And it was all through suburbia, so it was unsupported because you could just pop into shops.
And also, everyone's got fresh legs. Yeah. Day one. No major repairs needed. But yeah, it was nice. You went through out of Newcastle, through a couple of little towns, through Durham, a couple of pub stops. It was nice. And then the reality of day 2, 3, and 4 hit, and everyone was like, shit.
So day 2 was 25 miles from Durham Services to Scotch Corner Services, which is easy if you're on the. I mean, I did it on the A1.
Yeah, it's quick.
I did drive. Yeah, it was really quick.
We've got
about 15, 20 minutes.
We've got to be the only people to ever walk to Scotch Corner Services to stay there for the night.
Right.
Because why would you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a place designed to arrive on foot, is it? So that was pretty tough. Followed by 28 miles the next day,
which is probably over 30 in the end.
Yeah, by the time you've gone around stuff, and you never quite walk in the straight line you do on a map. There's always something to go around or roads to cross to avoid being hit by a car.
Thanks to the guy from North Yorkshire County Council, from the highways team, who politely advised everybody not to walk on a 60-mile-an-hour road.
Come on.
Yeah. Killjoy.
Fuck off. Don't be such a Frank Lampard about this.
Right, so... Yeah,
I enjoyed the little pause that we all left when he raised it with us, because it was like, well, we can't stop now. Like, so just, what do you want us to do about it? Do you want us to not walk along the road? Shut up.
There was a large grass verge.
Yeah, but which North Yorkshire County Council hadn't cut for a while.
Exactly.
Because of cutbacks. Unsafe to walk on. Anyway, it's all done now.
We won't do it again.
We've got everybody back. We certainly won't bloody do that again. So day 3 was 28 miles, probably closer to 30, as you were saying. Yeah. So that was the proper. I mean, I know I hate the cliche of hump day, of Wednesday being a hump day, but that was proper. That was a real.
It was bloody hot as well.
Grind.
25 degrees for the most part.
You thankfully covered yourself up, Chris. Yeah. Have you managed to get away with lying about your sunburn at home?
I came home and Neve just looked at me and went,
having to play it down because I saw your hands and I was like, oh shit.
Right. Although, was it Sunday?
Reckless behaviour from a strawberry blonde Irishman.
I put sun cream on twice on the Tuesday and got burnt then, so that's why I went long sleeve on the Wednesday.
But mate, genetically, you've got no chance. You don't get sun over there.
Well, what do you want me to do? Yeah, I think it was Sunday, Neve was like, do you know what? You've got a bit of a tan. He's like, don't lie to me.
Yeah, healthy glow.
Don't say things you don't mean.
Yeah, I saw a lot of sad faces at the end of day 3. Day 4 then was just a mere 26. It was only a marathon, 26 miles after doing 28 the day before. That I think a lot of people, because the mileage lessened, people had underestimated it. There was a lot of casualties that day.
Yeah, it's just cumulative effect of these things. If anyone thinks it's just walking, I would urge you to do it. And no, don't do one day of it.
Do a week. Do
a few in a row, because your feet don't get smaller. Like, your feet just get progressively bigger as the week goes on.
There's somebody I was chatting to in among the whole group who started out in a size 9. By the end of the week, they were in a size 11. They had to borrow somebody else's footwear. Went up 2 sizes. Well, that's what it did for me in the first 2 years, is actually, again, I got infected blisters because your feet swell and swell and swell and flatten, and my toes were tucking under, which was great fun. I think it happened to a few people.
Imagine my upset as a thriftsman that I'd put a pair of shoes in my bag that I was going to return because I thought, these are too big. Not going to wear them.
Straight in them.
Yeah, midway through day 4, I was like, I need to put the big shoes on. It cost me 90 quid that day 4, essentially.
Oh wow!
I had to get me big shoes. It was a big decision, as you can imagine.
Yeah. I'm actually going to wear these.
It's like, am I putting these on? Because these can't go back once they've touched the ground.
One of my neighbours was saying, I was telling them that I was doing this, and they said, put Vaseline on your feet as, like, a way to avoid blisters. But they're a long distance runner. What I don't think they realised is that there's 5 days of Vaseline on the feet. It worked for the first 2 days, but by day 3 it was just like basically just walking around a waterbed basically for a couple of days,
slipping over.
Yeah, you can't really.
Very lubricated though.
It doesn't work for 5 days in a row. Nothing works walking 5 days in a row. There's no tried and tested method.
Was there people who do like through hiking, like on the Appalachian Trail and stuff like that in America? They'll do 10, 12, 15 miles in a day, not like a marathon every day for 5 days. That's stupid, Michael.
I'm aware people have done longer distances than this, but
it's football fans, isn't it?
We are not endurance athletes.
Speak for yourself, mate.
But you drove down.
That was driving to Newcastle on that first morning.
Endurance driving
was tough. Yeah.
But yeah, generally speaking, people are not cut out for this. Yeah. It's worth saying.
And adding day 5 on top of day 4, because the previous walks were basically finished after 4 days, was enough. But there were a lot of, like, lunchtime on the final day at Tinsel Social Club was a subdued affair, whereas in the past it's been quite a boozy, uplifting affair when people have done it in the past, but not this time.
I did manage 3 pints on that day.
Oh, well done.
I did.
I mean,
which was quite heroic in its own way.
Hero.
Because I'd not really managed to drink on any other nights. I was just really tired.
Were you busted?
The night in Thirsk, I was aware I was just yawning in people's faces as they were speaking to me, and I was just going, like big uncontrollable, should have been in bed 3 hours ago yawns. And I was just like...
And also the night in Harrogate as well, in a Spoons, which is one of your favourite locations because it's thrifty.
No, it was oh, sorry, I actually stayed in the Wetherspoons in Thirsk.
Yeah.
That was one of the hotels. So
right.
I think I saw 3 Wetherspoons this last week. So
good times for you. Yeah.
Great stuff.
But yeah, it was a pretty sorry affair. So get well soon to everybody who has come back with blisters and injuries, which is a lot. So I hope everyone gets on the mend pretty quick. Bit of ligament damage here and there, that sort of thing. Hundreds of blisters.
These things happen. I'm really sorry.
Thanks as well to the other people who supported us. So Darntoff for supplying socks to everybody. A lot of those socks are sort of bloodied and possibly ruined now, given the inadequate feet that went into them. But there we are. And the people from Buff as well, who gave us the Lowfields buffs free of charge as well, which we're gonna stick them on the website as well, so you can buy them if you want to.
We do give you some freebies, but we have some to sell as well,
which will be good. So that's the walk. GarySpeedWalk.com if you fancy chucking a couple of quid in the pot. If you've not had a chance to, we set a £50,000 target for this one, and we passed it over the weekend, which is amazing.
53 now.
Is that right?
We're at. And I've got a few other little ideas up my sleeve.
What am I going to have to do?
No, nothing major.
You're gonna sell me, aren't you?
I want to raise money, Dan.
Right.
I've still got some Vaseline left.
Okay. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
My feet are fine, Chris.
I've got a couple of ideas. We can sell some stuff, can't we? We've got bits and bobs around. Still got Mark Viduka shorts in a drawer upstairs.
Yep.
That was, they've got to be worth some money as a tent, if nothing else.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much if you donated. If you still want to, you can do. GarySpeedWalk.com to chuck a couple of quid in the pot. Over the 3 walks that we've done, we've raised over £200,000 for mental health charities, which is it's immense. And I'm not saying that to take credit for it, because we're not the ones donating. You lot have been out there walking this time. I've done the walks before in the past. In many ways, that's the easy bit, isn't it?
The walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I think as the person who books all the hotels, I find the walking less painful than sorting the hotels out. Yeah. Generally speaking, because stuff always goes wrong. But yeah.
Anyway, on that, let's move on to actual football. We've got some actual football stuff to talk about. Stuff started happening. We've got Jaka Bijol apparently on the way in from Udinese. We'll come to you on this one, Chris, in a sec, because you follow Italian football quite closely, so you can probably offer some sort of educated view on this. And the other bloke who nobody's that interested in.
Yeah, per Lukas Nmecha. I feel like if he is, I think the issue is whether or not he'll stay fit. I think if he stays fit, he's probably a decent backup option as a striker. He's big, physical.
Seems to be the way that we're going as well this time.
Because he's the first signing, it feels quite underwhelming, doesn't it? But if it's where it fits in the picture. If he's, Premier League Billy Painter, someone who gets kind of announced early and on a free, and you go, okay, well, okay, that seems sensible enough. But then there's no one else.
Well, do you remember how underwhelmed everybody was by Joe Rothwell arriving first in the window last time?
Yeah.
And he proved really valuable, which I suppose is just a way of saying, see how it pans out.
Yeah.
Could be a really shrewd move.
You never know what else is going on either, do you, with if he's coming in as cover for someone else who might be going out or something. Because there are still the Joseph rumours flying about, aren't there?
Feels like he's going to go, doesn't it? I think.
And if he did leave, then maybe this is a filler for Joseph rather than a replacement for anyone in the first team. And if Joseph goes for money, it allows you some PSR room to actually buy someone of higher value but spread across a number of years and stuff like that. We don't really know what's going on in the background, do we, at this stage? But
no.
He doesn't seem like a particularly exciting signing, but at the same time looks like he's probably fairly capable.
I think most of our signings this time are not going to be exciting. I think they're going to be slightly more functional, because it sounds like the strategy is to go for want of a better phrase, big beefy bastards.
Yeah. I think as well, although people sort of know who Nmecha is, if you look at Brighton, Brentford, the players that they signed, there's no Brighton fan years ago going, oh, I really hope we sign Moises Caicedo from some team in Ecuador. You know what I mean? So, like, there will be players that we sign that won't be sexy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But Nmecha, I mean, as I said in the Daily Email yesterday, Angus Kinnear would probably refer to him as a proven international number 9. He did have 7 caps for Germany 3 years ago, so there was a player there at some point. The problem is that since then he's not really played. Like, he missed all of last season, which 23-24, so 2 seasons ago now, if you want to call it that. He only played 500 minutes in 24-25. So,
it's a little bit, on the face of it, it could look a little bit Victor Alterish. The difference is we're paying no money for him.
And it's a 2-year deal as well.
Which isn't a huge commitment, is it? So it seems relatively low risk. Yeah. And like, truthfully, when you're trying to stay in the Premier League, if he could get like 2 goals, it might actually be fine.
I think from people who have watched him a little bit more, he seems to be the sort of player who's going to chase down dead ends and put in the physical work required for a team that, let's be honest, are going to be fighting relegation. So I can't imagine that he is our striker signing this summer. But if that's a backup option, then fair enough.
It sounds like it's Rodrigo Muniz from Fulham who they really want and possibly prepared to push the boat out on. And I suppose if you get in, the backup is a freebie who's an international at that level. That's it. It's different, isn't it, from Victor's broken toys? There is overlap, you're right. But he is cheap, as we were saying, because he's coming in for free. Now, there's wages to factor into it as well. But also he's not being billed as the marquee signing.
Yeah.
Like when we were going after Mickey Croissants and getting ready to drop 20 million on him, and his career's nosedived since.
Yeah.
He would have been like the marquee midfield signing at that point. Whereas he's not. This is a squad filler, not a warm body. I would stop short of saying that, but I think he's probably under no illusions. And the way that the announcement was made, which was very just sort of matter of fact, oh, by the way, we're signing him July the 1st. It's a tweet, it's a report, it's an interview, done.
Yeah, it's fairly low key. We've not seen any like footage of him getting off private jets or anything, have we?
Yeah.
And it's not another Jean-Kevin Augustin thing where you go, like, we've been good in the past, not played in very much, but maybe you can get it back with us.
I suppose, do you feel like that announcement and the lack of private jets and so on is a bit of a more nod to the down to business approach that maybe we're going to be adopting this summer?
Possibly, or maybe it's more that they've just learned that making a whole fuss over any old signing isn't really that good a thing to do.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Kiko Casilla signing where it was like following him around the Dakota Hotel? It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I feel like as well, if this is just part of a squad build, everyone is absolutely fine with it. I feel like some of the reaction online was a bit over the top. Like, some people were being hysterical about it, saying like, this is shit, I can't believe we're signing this guy. And it's like, oh, come on. Yeah. Let's see how this pans out.
There's loads of sense there. If you are trying to make the most out of your money, I think is the phrase I'm chasing.
That's the thing, because we do need warm bodies. I think the lack of warm bodies cost us in the Premier League. You look back to the Bielsa year, look at some of the players we had on the bench. We had like kids on it who have since gone to play at like League 2, League 1 level.
Yeah.
But we had starters who were playing at League 1 level.
Yeah, and they were adequate to come on, but we're never going to match the same level as the starting 11, were they? For example, like, what did you have that was behind Rafinha, for example?
Yeah, I think this transfer, more than anything, probably tells us more about who's leaving than where they see him within the squad. You would imagine it means that Matteo Joseph's at least going out on loan. I know they're saying that they rate him and they don't want to sell him. That's fine, but there's no point in having him sitting behind Joel Pero, Nmecha,
Bamford.
Potentially. Bamford.
Yeah, and I think it's the PSR thing, isn't it? It's the fact that if you can crystallise 6, 7, 8 million now,
that
allows you to do what you need to do. It's right now. It's about, if you take it out of sort of general squad building context and place it in time of where we are with the PSR limits that we've got on us, and we can't all just do a Chelsea, it seems, and just endlessly rinse it and fall back on the World Club Cup, which is shite, by the way, money that they're going to get. We've got to operate within certain parameters, and I think the time this summer is unfortunate because I think we would have otherwise kept him and loaned him. But if you can get some money for him that allows us to recycle it and put it back into the squad, it makes sense even if we don't like it.
Kind of chasing your tail in the early years of it as well, aren't you? Until you're established in the Premier League and you've got you're allowed the bigger losses, because we obviously are carrying 2 championship seasons of allowed losses, aren't we, as well? And it's a mess.
Yeah, and it's evident that Leeds are interested in signing another striker with all the stuff about Muniz being reported. I don't think I know all that much about, but
missed a penalty in the cup game that we won on penalties down there.
Rob remembered saying he was rubbish in the match report. He was like, I'm sure he's better now.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's better now.
But I think he'd be a good symbol of the type of player that you want, where a player like that, if you can, and by the sounds of it, there's interest there on his part, sees Leeds as a good move. I mean, you can't pretend that Leeds is a step up on Fulham, who are now relatively comfortable mid-table in the Premier League. So
and they're getting a new stand with a swimming pool on the roof.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Where's our swimming pool? It's a sideways move in the division, isn't it? But he obviously sees it as a better way to move up in future, which I think gives me a certain amount of encouragement if that's the case, if we can get that one over the line.
Depends on how much, because I did see 40 million being talked about. Like, there's no way Leeds are spending 40 million on anyone.
No.
And if you're spending that kind of money on a striker, you'd want someone who's going to almost guarantee you goals.
Yeah, they're hard to come by goals in the Premier League, aren't they? And there is a premium on Premier League established players within that market. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us. I think they've probably got 25 million in their minds and they'll stretch to about 30. And who knows, maybe, how do you pronounce Nmecha, by the way? Is it Mecha? Is it a silent N? Because this troubles me when you see words like this that I don't know how to pronounce.
Who was a player before? But it makes me think that it might be Mecha.
Yeah.
But I'm probably just going to say Nmecha until Bryn Law corrects us.
Well, in the Premier League, you get the videos, don't you, of everyone pronouncing their own name, so we will see that.
Yeah. It's one of those that I've read before and gone, I'm not going to, in my ignorance, I'm not going to try that. Anyway.
According to UEFA.com, his brother, Felix, it's pronounced Mecha.
Mecha, okay.
I take it back.
So we stand corrected. So, maybe doing the freebie on Mecha then is what allows us to go a bit further on Muniz if he's the one.
And again, you do have the top scorer in the Championship already in the squad.
Well, there is a bit of talk that they'd be prepared to listen to bids for him as well, Don't know how true that is, but I mean, would you? I like the idea of Pirot in the Premier League. If he's not the starter, but if he's the one who can come on when the game starts to get stretched late on and find a bit of space in the box. I don't know if it's just self-talk and me trying to convince myself that he'll be suited to it, but I often thought it in the Championship.
I probably have my doubts, but I think he's earned a bash at it.
Are they not natural doubts though? Because the squad is now trying to make that step up. So you'd say that of anybody, really.
Well, I mean, we said it last time, didn't we? With the likes of Ayling and Cooper and Dallas, the people who'd been with us for a long time, and you're like, well, I'm not Premier League, I'm not sure.
Piece of piss, wasn't it?
Flew through it, didn't the first year?
Yeah, but there have been strikers less impressive in the Championship that have gone on to do well in the Premier League that people would have had the same concerns about then. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not that. Striker wouldn't be top of my list, but I suppose if you don't have a proven goal scorer, there's a chance that you're going down.
If it is Muniz and you look at Mecha's like playing style and physical characteristics, there's all very much, and Bijol factors into this as well. They're going for strength, beefiness, and as I understand it, that's part of the research that Robbie Evans has been doing for a while now, looking into what does it take to stay up, because he came in as chief strategy officer, and as I understand it, part of that strategy was the strategy to be a Premier League club, because I think was it Marate said recently that everything has been gearing towards this moment in the last sort of 18 months, is to getting up and making sure we can stay up, and the work that they're doing is figuring out how you do that, how you avoid becoming one of those clubs that just goes straight back down. And one of their findings seems to be strong physical players for the vast majority. Maybe you get a couple of craftsmen in there as well who can unlock a defence, but for the most part, it's going to be a team that's going to battle, which in a really kind of weird, perverse way, I'm kind of interested in seeing this after such finesse last season, to contrast it with some really big bastards.
Yeah, I mean, last season was built on basically a front line of very small men, wasn't it? With I can't imagine we would have ever had a smaller attacking quartet than Solomon, Nonto, Ramazani and James. There's not one of them above 5'8", is there?
No. You could stack them all on top of each other and put a big long coat on.
Pay for one cinema ticket instead of 4.
But yeah, I mean, you've been a long advocate of big wingers, haven't you, Chris? So have you got any 6 foot plus wingers you'd like us to be signing?
I do like freakishly tall players for their positions. Right. Yeah, I love like a really tall fullback or a winger.
Let's talk about Bijol as well. It looks like he's coming in at centre back. Got married at the weekend. Congratulations.
Yep. Where's our invite?
He doesn't know about us yet. He soon will. hopefully. No, he's a big lad and should be quite a commanding presence at the back. If you see the people who've analysed the stats, very good at winning headers and dangerous at set pieces and good at set pieces defensively.
Not that many goals is the one thing I would point out from set pieces, but he played in an Udinese side that were in the top 15 in Europe for goals from set pieces, in the top 5 leagues last season. He's one I'm really excited about. I'm really surprised that Leeds were actually, I know it's not done yet, but Leeds are considered to be the favourites to sign him, I suppose, at this moment in time. Because
that transfer nonce Romano bloody went big on it, didn't he? The fucking weirdo. Get a real job, he says.
Yeah, like he's just really good. Like I know it's Serie A. I know it's not the Premier League. I know he's not proven at that level, but across the last 3 seasons since he arrived, he's looked above the level of the team that he's playing in. I think it's probably also helpful from a Leeds perspective that he's been playing in a team that's been fighting relegation for 3 years in a row. And there was a couple of moments last season and the season, not so much last season, definitely the season before, where they stayed up on the final day. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to seeing hopefully him and Joe Rodon at the back. Very, as you say, very good aerial presence. He's a good, like, modern defender. Like, he'll defend the box well, but he's also good with the ball at his feet. The one con I would say is he's not the quickest, but he reads the game quite well, so you feel like that makes up for it. And he's got hopefully got Rodon beside him.
So maybe he's the guy who goes, attacks the ball, Rodon sweeps in behind him. So it could work.
And we talked before about Pascal Struijk and like Robin Koch at times. Like, when they just weren't aggressive enough in attacking the ball or attacking the man. You want someone who's going to do that, and he fits the bill. He's experienced at international level. He's playing Serie A for the last few years. He's big, physical, reads the game well. I don't know if you can ask for much more from your centre-back signing.
I mean, in terms of who you would get as a centre-back going up into the Premier League, I suppose your options are a bit limited, aren't they? Because you're asking people to come in, as you say, Chris, now that with the stratification of the Premier League, to come in and enter into a relegation battle. So it's encouraging to find somebody of that level. And maybe we recycle the squad as aggressively as Forest in the coming years, and maybe he's not here in 2 or 3 years, but I quite like the cut of his jib.
Yeah, I'm reassured by the amount of games he's played, because it's still a good age in terms of longevity for us, or a potential resale, either for more money or for the same money or a bit less, but you've had a couple of years of service out of him or whatever. But he seems to have played like games every season. Yeah, absolutely tons of international caps. It just feels fairly safe. But then I do remember saying the same about Rasmus Christensen a couple of years ago and being like, this all looks pretty sensible. It looks like a good fee for someone who's played a lot of football and is an international and who looks physical and strong. Now, admittedly, I've not seen Rasmus Christensen really play. But and then he turned up and wasn't very physical.
Playing in Austria, you've got a guy playing in Italy here who's going to be against better centre forwards.
And as well, like Udinese have a really strong history of bringing players, a lot of players from outside of Europe. So like they brought Cuadrado to Europe before he went to Fiorentina, then Chelsea. They brought Alexis Sanchez to Europe. Molina, who won the World Cup with Argentina, he now plays for Atletico Madrid. Rodrigo de Paul, they didn't bring him to Europe, but they developed him. Udogie, the left back at Spurs. Bruno Fernandes was there like in his early days. Do you know what I mean? So they've always had an eye for talent, and they picked him up for a couple of million from, albeit a Russian club after the war started. So I'm sure they got a little bit of a haircut on the fee there. But you know, there's a reason that both Milan clubs wanted him. He was quite heavily linked with going to Inter last year after the Euros, but probably would have been a backup. So that maybe speaks to the mindset of him not wanting to go and sit on the bench somewhere rather than going somewhere to play week in, week out.
Have you seen the coverage this week of, I think it might be in Berren's article on The Athletic, saying that where he's running through the behind the scenes transfer process, if you like, where part of that process towards the end of it is where Farke will call the player and will lay out in very honest and open terms what his role will be within the squad this forthcoming season. And it'll be, you're fighting for your place or you're going to be my first choice. And if they don't like what they hear, then Leeds walk away from it, which I think is an admirable stance in one respect. And you suspect that Bijol's been told, you'll be a starting centre-back.
You have to imagine it's going to be him and Rodon as first choice, don't you? Because the noises roll as well that Ampadu is not considered a long-term solution at the back. He's fine as a stopgap, or if they need to change shape during a game or something, but he is a midfielder.
Yeah, unless there's going to be a tactical shift to a back three, which I can't see happening really, but I know we've flirted with it a little bit last season in pre-season with a back three.
A lot of noise around midfield as well. Habib Diarra at Strasbourg. I don't know much about him, but again, seems to fit a similar bill, like physically combative in midfield.
Yeah, I saw that one last week, and I don't know too much about him, but Leeds, it seems that they're not that confident of signing him because they've already made a bid and it's been rejected. And it sounds like Strasbourg are expecting more from him.
It'd be interesting to see where the majority of the investment goes. It feels like spine of the team will be where a lot of it gets directed. But then again, does Solomon become available after he's started back at Spurs potentially? Because again, he would fit the bill as in somebody who is Premier League fringes, a little bit like Rodrigo Muniz, who's Premier League fringes and is a physical specimen despite only being about yay high.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking he might actually end up being our first signing, just because you think, well, it might be easy to do, but yeah, the managerial change there at Spurs kind of, you can see why you'd want another look at him, I suppose, if you're coming in fresh.
I can't see him signing for Leeds. Just, you would feel like that has to be reciprocal, and there doesn't seem like there's been much interest on his end, at least publicly, and there's been no mention of bids or fees or anything like that, in the same way that there was with Ben White whenever we went up and there was no fee agreed to buy him. Like, there was just nothing there. So there's nothing here, with Solomon. So I don't know. I feel like we might move on from that one.
Yeah, he screams Europe Champions League level to me. But who knows? Maybe he fancies the challenge. Maybe he does.
Maybe he won't displace Jack Harrison.
Oh, I keep forgetting about Jack Harrison.
Willie Nanto as well. I feel like we're probably going to see a lot more Nanto next year. The Premier League might reward him a little bit more for being a creative thinker rather than just purely physical. The Championship felt a bit more physical, and he possibly doesn't suit that as much as being someone who can think and then make a decision, boom, in the way that he did in his first season. Yeah,
he's a little bit more explosive, isn't he, in his gameplay? Like, he picks it up, cuts inside, whacks it to the near post.
He was our best player when we first signed him in the Premier League. Yeah. Admittedly, it was a very bad time. Yeah. But he turned up and everyone was like, oh, this guy's better than Dan James. Nice one. was basically the gist of it. Obviously, that has flipped around in the last couple of years as Nonto's maybe not had quite the impact we thought he would, given what we'd seen him in the Premier League. Still done pretty well generally once he stopped sulking. But Nonto's one that I thought we might sell this summer, but I guess it depends where the money is for him, because a move back to Italy, they don't tend to have all that much money to splash around.
At this moment in time, it feels a little bit like, to me anyway, that nothing's off the table where that's concerned. And I've got no idea about this. It just feels like they're going to want to try and get some money from somewhere, and him, Strauch, fit the bill. But then have you seen the rumours this week? And I say it with a slight laugh in my voice because it seems there might be a bidding war for Sam Greenwood. Interest from Sunderland and Leicester, apparently for Greenwood. So having a couple of clubs in for him cannot be a bad thing for us, because I fully expected us to struggle to offload him and Joffrey. But I suspect obviously they're both going to be going. So if you can break even on Joffrey because he's on quite big wages, then fine. But if there's a bit of a bidding war for Greenwood, I would take a fee.
Sunderland have got 30 million burning a hole in the pocket. We'll accept 18 million for Sam Greenwood. That's what I'm going to say.
It's not the level I expected him to be going to.
No.
Does he count as a homegrown player?
Yep.
Yeah.
For them, growing in their academy?
Yep.
Of Sunderland, yeah.
It would do for any team. I think it's academy for 3 years at any club in the country, isn't it? So he would count as it for definite. Yeah.
Nmecha, does he fall into that category as well? Then because of Man City, so we kind of it's a bit of a workaround, isn't it?
Yeah. And depending on who we shift out of the academy, out of the squad, could impact those numbers downwards, as the reporting was put out there this week. Yeah. So do you think Nmecha is as much a Bamford replacement as Joffrey? It feels like Joffrey's almost certainly going to go. Or do we retain Bamford in the final year of his contract because he's on a big contract still?
Maybe between the two of them, between Bamford and him, we've got an almost fit striker for most of the season. If they both got bad injury problems, but if one of them's available, maybe that's fine.
You'd expect him to have 3, wouldn't you? So Nmecha, if you bring Muniz in, or another, and then one more, who's that one more going to be? Is it Pirro? Is it Bamford?
I don't think I don't think they'll get rid of Bamford. I think they'll just let his contract run down unless someone's willing to take his wages for a year.
Or do you wonder if, because they're bringing in centre forwards, that it's a very clear signal to him that this is the end of it, mate. You're not going to be playing this year. So it's almost to impose on him that, if you want to do something this next 12 months, then you got to go do it somewhere else.
There's always the danger there that he goes, "No, I'm fine. I'll just sit here for a year. I've settled."
Yeah, fully Winston Bogart it.
Yeah, or as a footballer, like I think a lot of footballers think, well, see how I get on. The manager might be changed by October. See what happens after that. There's you're anticipating some churn probably, aren't you, as a footballer all the time, thinking I can. If I just need to outlast the manager, if I'm not in his plans.
That the change of manager is actually probably one of the factors that's in play where Solomon's concerned as well, because Thomas Frank, having gone there, is now going to want to cast an eye over the squad. I still think he's going to leave. It feels like he probably will, because they need to sell players for PSR, don't they? And if they bring in Mbermu, then it's going to be on his side, isn't it, in his position? So it feels like he's probably going to go. But with regards to that, Keith Andrews potentially going in at Brentford, I can't be alone, or I would say that a lot of Leeds fans have seen that and gone, good.
It's because it's Keith Andrews, though.
Yeah, I mean,
he might be brilliant.
He still looks like Doc Cotton.
We just can't accept it because it's Keith Andrews.
But he sounds like such a fucking idiot on Sky whenever he's spoken. Just like you end up watching and going, "No, shut up." And I think maybe part of that is down to the fact that he seemed to dislike Leeds quite openly.
Yeah, he went on a lot about Spygate, and I also had to watch him at the 2012 Euros, so I'll never forgive him for that.
Right.
But a desperate footballer.
But as we were kind of chatting about with Angus Kinnear when he was coming in here in his summer chats, where clubs are concerned, you've got sort of recruitment, you've got coach, as two really major factors that if you get any one of any of the aspects wrong when you go up into the Premier League, or if you're outside the top 6, and I know there's quite a lot of churn within that, the various levels of the Premier League. Like it feels like there's a bit of change going on at the minute, like Villa trying to tap into that top bit and all the rest, and Newcastle too. If you get any of these aspects wrong, the other 14 are always at risk of, if your recruitment's not right, your coach ain't right, or you appoint the wrong person. If you sack that person, those are one of the factors that can determine or steer you towards a bad season. And you look at that and you get a certain amount of known quantity where Thomas Frank is concerned. We don't know what Keith Andrews is going to bring. So is this the opportunity for them? Even if they take a slight dip and they get dragged into that bottom 5 or 6, it's an opportunity for Leeds, isn't it? With fair wins.
Yeah, I suppose I always group, because of the similarities of ownership with Brighton and Brentford, you sort of view them as a bit similar, don't you? And they've got a good model and things, but I guess the difference is we've seen Brighton change manager pretty regularly, and they don't seem to have ever skipped a beat on it. They've just rolled one into another, and it's actually they seem pretty stable throughout. Brentford, it's the first time, isn't it? So it might be that we find they lose a manager, they lose a couple of players, but then they bring in a few players, and Keith Andrews is decent, or at least is decent enough, and they finish, 15th this year, which is still fine for them.
Well, Thomas Frank replaced Dean Smith, and he was Dean Smith's assistant, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. So it's a similar level of move for Andrews, but whether or not it's.
But you see it, and it gives you a cause for quite optimism versus if Thomas Frank had still been there.
Yeah. With Frank there, you think there's virtually no chance of them going down, wouldn't you? You'd say you'd put money on them being above 15th, probably even. You're not even in the sort of touching distance, wouldn't you?
But knowing how these things pan out, all you need is for a club to have a bad start and they panic and they go, well, he is going to take us down. They change. It's either too late to turn it round or whatever. They just get sucked into it early. That's what you're hoping for, isn't it?
It's a game of egos. Like the decision to hold on to a manager for too long. Like you saw it with Leeds when we went down a couple of years ago. Egos got in the way of just going, right, this isn't working. Let's make a change during the World Cup. Let's make a change the start of January rather than leading to the end of January. You know, ego's got in the way of things working. And I mean, it's a very egotistical sport from the top the whole way down to players, coaching staff, whatever. It really is.
We shall see. Fixtures are out tomorrow. Exciting times. Did you see the fixture league that did the rounds, which had us playing Leicester on the final week?
Oh, good. Yeah, there were loads of errors in it. I know someone saying, "Oh, well, Forest are playing so-and-so at home twice."
Man United at home twice, wasn't it? Yeah.
There were a few. Yeah, that's not real.
No.
But I don't know. It's what Phil always used to say, wasn't it? Play everyone twice.
Yeah. I feel like we will almost certainly get a relatively hard ball, probably home fixture. It was pointed out to me. My mate Neil said, because it's the Leeds Festival, second weekend of the season, we'll probably be at home first and we'll be away the week after. So a home fixture, probably against, I reckon, one of the big boys.
I see. I don't mind that. I have to say. I always think if something random's going to happen, the opening day is as good as any.
Yeah, Liverpool again. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Scum at home would be the best one.
I think they'll want that
opener.
They'll want that later in the season.
8 p.m. on a Friday, just total carnage.
Yeah, do that. Go on, I dare you.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's Liverpool. Arsenal was the one that was doing the rounds in the league, wasn't it? But I do know they run simulations of the fixture generation before they release them, so they sometimes get leaked. But I would not at all be surprised at all. But it's really annoying is that because I'm on holiday that week and I'm back the week after, so I'm going to miss the opener. So I'll have to cry into my pint of what's the Spanish lager, Estrella.
Fine.
Into that in Lanzarote that weekend, but something to do in it. Yeah. So we'll see what the fixtures bring. Anything else to add before we head off? We've covered everything off for today. It's nice to actually have something to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny on the walk. There was not all that much Leeds chat actually. Even though sort of stuff was happening, I feel like people were largely just cut off from the world into like a weird bubble.
Yeah, the only real story that came out at any point was about Bijol, basically, and even that was more just this might be happening and it might be happening soon. Whereas we had the 49er takeover last time, whenever everyone was in Halifax.
Oh, was that when we were on the walk?
Yeah,
before? Right. I was in a world of pain at that point,
and I think we've talked about it before. The first walk was whenever Angus Kinnear accidentally told you that we were signing Rasmus Christensen.
He was, yeah. Should have told him not to on reflection. But he has, in fact, have we even covered this off yet? He has now gone, hasn't he? Is he officially gone?
Kinnear.
Rasmus.
Oh, Rasmus gone. Yeah. Kinnear's gone as well.
Kinnear's gone too, yeah. But I know it's been said ages ago that he is going. It was kind of agreed, but wasn't there some additional development?
I presume it's confirmed on July the 1st with a lot of other stuff. But yeah. It was and I think it was, wasn't it? But yeah, it was while we were away, so I don't think everyone just went, all right, cool.
I'll tell you what else we need to cover off today. Chris Wilder.
Oh, is he gone now, is he?
Well, it seems to be widely reported now that he is on his way.
Because, there's been friction there, hasn't there? They wanted to go data-led, and they signed a couple of players last year from, I think one of them was from Hungary, who's just not even had a sniff.
They signed two, didn't they? And he's not, neither of them have had a minute. You get the feeling he's probably been a bit mean to them. Just been like, I don't know who you are. Just go train with the kids.
Yeah, I can't think of any other managers who would take data-led transfers and not really play them all that much.
No,
I'll say. But I feel
clash of cultures there because there's rumours that he wanted to bring in some of his mates like Ollie McBurney and whatever people that he could rely on.
Right. See, I quite wanted to face Wilder again. They'll probably be employing him again in 2 or 3 years, won't they? I feel like he's within that cycle probably as Wilder, where
can't go anywhere else.
It'll get worse. He'll have a mildly successful spell at it was a crap mid-table championship team. Sorry, Oxford again, because he's been there before, hasn't he? And then he'll get the Sheffield United job. He'll come up and there'll be a bit of it was good though, wasn't it? It was good the first time, and actually the year after we didn't get half as near as we did under Wilder. When they finish 8th next season with all the data-led players that everyone hates because it turns out they're all shite.
Did it end badly for him at Middlesbrough? My imagining not.
They got Warnock. Did Warnock come in before or after him? I'm trying to remember now.
I think he came in after.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Jesus.
I know there's a bit of beef. I think there's beef between the two of them. Yeah, I think he came in after because I think Wilder has insinuated before that basically Warnock was on the phone going, yeah, I could do a better job. I'll get you no problem.
Because they haven't hired since Carrick, have they? But I was thinking I can't remember if it's gone badly though, they probably wouldn't bring him back.
Also, not our problem. We'll wrap it up there for this one. Then we'll be back on Thursday. We'll react to the fixtures, which will be coming out, so we can pick the victories that we're going to get, all 10 of them.
It was what? Do you know what? I'm remembering this the other way around. It was Warnock into Wilder, and it was Wilder doing the chasing, saying I could do a better job than him. So flip it round. I think
Warnock take over from Woodgate.
He did. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it's Warnock. I'm remembering complaining about Wilder. So it's all Sheffield beef. It's beneath us, quite literally beneath us. By a full division. And Sheffield Wednesday,
fucked.
Maybe a couple of divisions beneath us.
They are really in trouble.
Given the way that's looking, it's not. So, I know we've been there, and you shouldn't laugh at clubs in trouble, but you know,
I think it's hard not to with them because of the way that they were crowing about Chansiri, just because they beat us once. I think it was the Gary Monk or whatever.
And they got to the playoff final, didn't they? And they were like on the verge of it working out.
Yeah, and it didn't.
And it's not gonna.
And it looks like, because if they still owe money from the previous round of salary last month to some of the players, that if they miss it again, and he's up on an FA charge now, isn't he? Not just the club. Then I think there's a certain amount. It might be 2 months contractually. They can all just walk away on freeze. Can the players
and the manager as well,
right?
Because he wanted to go to Southampton last year, didn't he? Danny Roll, and then there was that weird fans forum, wasn't there, where he clearly wanted out, and the chairman was there, and it was just all a bit messy. Did you hear how much he wants for Sheffield Wednesday to sell?
Is it £1 billion?
It was apparently 350 million for a club that earns no money and has a knackered old stadium, which isn't even actually technically owned by the club because he's already sold that to one of his own companies.
You can imagine him selling the club and not the stadium or something like that, like pulling one of those.
But yeah, 350 million. He was apparently asking at one point for it, and everyone was like, "No, obviously no." So good luck to him.
Go on, make me an offer then. Go on, make me an offer. 20 quid. 20 quid, definitely. Not our problem, as you say, but we will watch it with interest. And actually, that just brings me on to one final closing thing. Like, people have been asking about end of season propaganda just because of the amount of admin involved in the walk planning and the amount of admin it takes to put together propaganda. There just wasn't enough time to get it done before the season end. But,
and the amount of merch we're currently sending out.
Yeah,
because the promotion specials arrived end of last week, so we've been getting all them plus merch out and still are.
However,
so
Michael Normanson, final word on the show: will there be a propaganda?
Yes. When? Yeah, not this week is what I will say, because we've still got lots of stuff to put in bags.
So next week, good. Right, we'll wrap it up there. See you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.